Hello and welcome to this week's Women's Football Chat. My name is Chris Gadsby. I'm here every Thursday at 6 p.m. bringing you the very latest from the third and fourth tiers of women's football here in England. That's the FA Women's National League. Now, this week's show is going to be a little bit of a busier one because we have got results and fixtures to look at, so it's going to be a bit longer than the last couple of shows. But let's start with a bit of housekeeping. I'm going to firstly, because I don't know what this is going to sound like until the edit, apologise if I'm a little bit echoey. You may have noticed that I've done some redecorating throughout the study. Where I present the show from, and because I haven't yet got over on that hand side the bookcase and everything that was in the study back in the study, it is very open in here and a bit echoey, so if that comes across on the microphone, which again I can't tell until I edit it, then I do apologise for that. Also trying out a new camera position because, well, I thought it would look a bit better going back that way than diagonally towards the door, because until I get that bookcase, I have nowhere on that side of the room to mount my green screen, which is why you've got the box border today on this show if you're watching the YouTube version. But maybe you like that because you can see behind me my humongous whiteboard, which is 1.5 meters long by 1 meter high. And this is a board entirely to help me do this show. So what it is it has all the details on of all the team's fixtures coming up over the next few weeks. It hopefully will come into its own over the course of kind of November and December next season, when we're looking at all those FA Cup games, all of those County Cup games, League Cup games, League Plate games, and teams are having 6-7 weeks without a league game in there as well. So that board is on the back there. I don't know how clearly you can see it. But what I will do very quickly before we get into the results is take you through it. So if I go on to the big screen, so what we have here is all of the, and apologies for the light kind of halo bubble as well. So what we have here is all 71 teams at the moment in two columns. The Northern Premier, Division 1 North, Division 1 Midlands, Southern Premier, South East, South West. So you've got your Northern Leagues and your Southern Leagues, which I thought was the most efficient way of doing it when it came to, obviously the cups are regionalised for a long period of time, so I thought it'd be easier to track them. So then here along the top, you've got the next 7 game days, or game day weeks rather. So that's this weekend, the 15th of January, and it keeps going along. Yeah, have a look at the collaboration between the FAWNL and the Papyrus Charity. The quote from Carol West, the FAWNL chair, says this is a hugely mutual beneficial partnership which will involve massively important suicide education for FAWNL members. Suicide devastates individuals, families and communities. So we hope the entire FAWNL family gets behind us to support the charity. So that's the quote from Carol. If I am able to get information about the partnership, if the URL comes back before next week's show, then I might go through that again next week, just to give you a bit more information. But in the meantime, make sure you check out the FAWNL Twitter. That will give you the information that you need. Right. Let's have a look then at the Northern results. Another thing with my new camera position is I'm hoping that because the information off my main screen is right in front of me, it won't look so bad with me turning constantly to read information off the screen and then looking back at you. So I'm hoping this new camera position is a good one, and that kind of doesn't change regardless of if we've got the green screen or not. Right. First full-time glitch is that the Wolves against AFC Fylde game has disappeared off full-time. Not entirely sure what the situation is with that, but we'll just see what comes of that. But Wolves did lose by 2-0 to Fylde. Of course, that means that I can't look because the fixtures disappeared. I can't tell you who the filed scorers were, but Wolves, losing by 2-0. Not particularly happy about the arrangement of that game with only a few days. Excuse me, with only about 5 days' notice, which is in the league rules, but Wolves not happy about it. And I can understand why they weren't happy about it, particularly when they're fighting for a Northern Premier Division title for the second year running. What it means with that 2-0 victory is that Wolves now, yes, they're top of the table still, but they've played 2 games more than Nottingham Forest and they're only 3 points clear. So it's a good opportunity for Forest. Again, if they were able to beat Fylde this weekend, and they did beat them earlier on in the season, if they are able to beat Fylde this weekend, they will go top of the table with a game in hand. But of course, there's a lot to discuss between now and the end of the season. A lot of football to be played. With that being the only game, Fylde the only movers. They're up 2 places. They're above Stoke and Liverpool Feds. So Fylde are up to 6th now on 14 points. So they're starting to get themselves a little bit of a buffer between themselves and the bottom 2. It's a 6-point gap now, and there are no games in hand for Brighouse or for Loughborough. So that's the Northern Premier Division. Instead, only 1 game taking place in it. Let's have a look at the Southern Premier Division. 2 games taking place here, and much more kind of what you would expect with the results from these games. Of course, there was the FA Cup as well, the fixtures in there, which we'll go through a bit later on. So we've got Bridgewater United 0, Oxford United 3 goals in this one. Jamie Emily Gotch in the 26th minute, Lacey J. Liggett in the 33rd minute, and Leah Burridge in the 37th minute. And the only other game in the Southern Premier Division, Crawley Wasps losing by 5-0 at home to Billericay Town. Goals in this one, Lucy Jones, Bo Parker, Holly Turner, and 2 for Ruby Seeley, giving Billericay Town the 5-0 victory. What it means for the league table is nothing in terms of movement. Oxford United, they stay at the top. They're now 8 points clear of Watford, but Watford do have 2 games in hand. Billericay Town, they stay in 5th position, but they move to now be one of 4 teams on 19 points. But Watford and Ipswich have 2 games in hand on them. Portsmouth have a lone game in hand on them. But Billericay Town in the top half of the Southern Premier Division table after being promoted last season. The defeated sides, you got the defeat there for Crawley Wasps to Billericay Town. That means they stay at the bottom, 7 points away from safety. They're now halfway through their season. So interesting to see how they're going to do over the second half of the season. Can they mount something of a comeback, get themselves out of that bottom 2? Let's have a look at the busiest league of the last 7 days then, the Division 1 North. It's had 4 games taking place. Chorley 2, Middlesbrough 1. We'll start there. Goals in this one. The lone goal for Middlesbrough coming to Amber Rogers. That was their only goal of the game. Goals for Chorley, Jessica Gillen. These were both in the second half. 48th minute for her. Grace Foy in the 88th minute getting the second goal for Chorley. So a late goal there, giving them all 3 points. Durham Sestra 4, Merseyrail 1. This one was 2-1 at half-time. A very early goal for Durham. Erin Nicholson in the 3rd minute, giving them what I can presume is the early lead. Erin Slade with Merseyrail's only goal of the game. Jordan Atkinson on the 37th minute getting Durham Sestra's second, meaning they went in at half-time 2-1 in front. And then Poppy Pritchard and Ella Wilson in the second half, 55th and 70th minute, making it 4-1 to Durham and giving them a relatively comfortable 3 points in Division 1 North. Hull City with a good 4-0 away victory to Norton Stockton Ancients. Their opening goal came to Helen Linsky in the 20th minute. They made it 2-0 before half-time. Rachel Ackroyd 10 minutes before the half-time whistle. Hope Knight in the 63rd minute and Katie Thompson in the 77th minute rounded off a 4-0 victory over Norton and Stockton Ancients. Finally, in Division 1 North, a 3-2 victory for Newcastle over Stockport County. Newcastle had to play the final 35 or so minutes with 10 after Katie Barker was sent off just before the hour mark. And that was really what allowed Stockport to come back into the game. Bianca Owens, who came on as a substitute in the 6th minute, then got Newcastle's first goal of the game half an hour in. And they then took a 2-0 lead with Katie Barker 5 minutes after the break. Barker was then sent off and Stockport were able to come a bit more back into the game. Maria Figueiredo, just 3 minutes after Newcastle went down to 10, pulled it back to 2-1. Newcastle then went ahead 3-1. Bethany Guy in the 74th minute, but then Figueiredo with her second pulled it back to 3-2. Stockport looking for a way to get a point out of the game that Newcastle held on, and they needed to hold on with Durham winning and keep the pressure on at the top of the table. Let's have a look at that Division 1 North table. Not a lot has changed at the top because the top two sides both won. Barnsley are now 7 points away from the top, but they have 2 games in hand, so they are far from out of it in Division 1 North. Stockport County there, obviously falling a bit behind after losing to Newcastle. The only movement in Division 1 North is in the mid-table. Hull City, after beating Norton Stockton Ancients by 4-0, leapfrog them in the table. Merseyrail stay in the bottom 2. They are 4 points adrift. And they now just have 10 games remaining of the season. The teams around them have 2 games in hand. Let's go to Division 1 Midlands then. So results in this one: Lincoln City 4, Leafield Athletic 2. Goals in this one. It was Leafield Athletic that actually took a 2-0 lead early on. Thea Clerkin in the 9th minute and Leonie Joyce in the 13th minute, providing a quick-fire double for Leafield to put them 2-0 in front away at Lincoln City. It didn't last very long. Rachel Howes in the 15th minute pulled one back. Lucy Farrow got her first of the game 10 minutes later to make it 2-2. So at pretty much the midway point of the first half, 4 goals evenly shared between these two teams. That's how they went in at half-time. Chantel Robinson, just after the hour mark, put Lincoln in front, and then in the 90th minute, Lucy Farrow doubled their advantage and gave them a 4-2 victory. Good comeback for Lincoln City. And Northampton Town winning by 3-1 over Leek Town. A very, very quick start for both of these sides in this game. Jade Bell in the 9th minute put Northampton in front. Katie Mayer in the 10th minute equalised for Leek Town. Jade Bell then got her second of the game in the 11th minute to make it 2-1. That's how they went in at half-time. So 3 goals in 3 minutes in that game. Jade Bell then 9 minutes from time, doubling Northampton's advantage and giving them the 3-1 victory. What it means for the league table in Division 1 Midlands, of course, Stourbridge not playing. Lincoln City, therefore, go into second over Doncaster Rovers Bells after Lincoln's victory. That's put them now 8 points behind Stourbridge, but they have played 2 games more than the Division 1 Midlands table toppers. Doncaster Rovers Bells dropped down into third, but of course they didn't play. That's the only movement in that league. Northampton beating Leek Town was a big result for Northampton. They're now just 1 point away from safety in Division 1 Midlands, and they have 3 games in hand over Leek Town. So really important 3 points for Northampton Town. That feels a lot closer now, safety in Tier 4. Long Eaton United didn't play this weekend. They remain 6 points away from safety. Let's have a look at Division 1 South East then, because there is a big result we need to talk about in this one. We'll start though with Cambridge United 1, Ashford Town 2. Another good result for Ashford Town. Sydney Naylor with the only goal for Cambridge United. Ashford's goals coming to Alicia Down in the 32nd minute and Elizabeth O'Callaghan in the 78th minute. A 2-1 victory for Ashford. London Seawood against Chesham United was postponed, and Hashtag United, after beating them 13-0 away from home, beat Hounslow 16-0 at home. So the problems continue for Hounslow. So I'm not going to try and do these goals in order because it's going to get very messy. But Grace Gilliard in the 18th minute, Malika Apinda Gill in the 12th and the 64th minute, Lauren Griffiths in the 46th minute, Catherine Nutman in the 10th minute, Hayley West in the 14th minute, Amy Lee Abrahart in the 54th and the 70th minute, Kelly Wellfall in the 3rd, the 5th and the 30th minute, and Samantha Rowland in the 26th, 34th, 50th, 81st and 93rd minute. 5 goals for her on the afternoon. That's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That is all of them. But hashtag out of the gates sharp here. 2 goals up within 5 minutes. 4 goals up before you hit the quarter of an hour mark. And they just kept on going. 16-0 victory over Hounslow in the end. What it means for the table, there's no movement in the table. Ashford Town get themselves a bit high. Sorry, there is movement in the table, but I haven't put it on this graphic for the reason being is that Ashford were given that win over Hounslow, that 10-0 at half-time where then it got abandoned. That was given to Ashford. So because not all of the movement was down to this weekend and it got a little bit confusing, I've left it off. I'll go back to it next week. So Ashford now are in 5th in Division 1 South East after what you can kind of call a 6-point week. It was a couple of weeks ago that decision was made. Cambridge United are now down in 7th now. Hashtag remain at the top. They are 9 points clear of Norwich City in 2nd, but Norwich City have 2 games in hand. Hounslow have now got a minus 100 goal difference. They're still yet to get off the mark, but importantly for Hounslow, in a couple of weeks' time, they face Cambridge City in a huge 6-pointer at the bottom of the table. Division 1 South West then, just one game to talk about with Bournemouth against Portishead postponed and Chelsea against Keynsham postponed. We're going to just look at Exeter against Moneyfields. This was a 5-2 victory for Exeter. Jenna Markham in the 11th minute, Sarah Stacey 13th minute, and then Emily Toogood in the 60th minute. It was 3-0. Jade Widows also in the 60th minute for Moneyfields getting a goal. Gemma Simmons in the 65th minute making it 3-2 there. But then Ishbel Zermond in the 77th minute and Toogood again in the 90th minute made it 5-2 for Exeter. What feels like a comfortable win in the end for Exeter. It means they keep the pressure on Cardiff. Cardiff City then at the top still with a perfect 9 from 9, but they're no longer invincible. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Exeter City then up to 2nd. As I said, they're 2 points behind Cardiff, but they have played a game more. Bournemouth, having not played, dropped down into 3rd. Moneyfields remain in 5th. Of course, everything towards the bottom is exactly the same. Right, let's have a look then at the cup fixtures. The cup results that happened over the last 7 days. We're going to start in the FA Cup, where there was a few shocks in there, or minor shocks at least. But we'll go through all of this then. So we're going to start with once I can get it to behave and go up properly. There we go. I'm going to start with Wimbledon against Gillingham. Just the 1 goal for this one. Eleanor Dorey getting Wimbledon's goal. They're through into the 4th round. The 4th round is taking place on the 29th of February. There are 10 FAWNL sides remaining in the competition. So of course, I'll go through those fixtures in that week. Birmingham City beat Huddersfield by 4-0. Charlton Athletic beating MK Dons by 3-1. When I can find that result. That result doesn't appear to be on full time. It is not on full time. Leeds United 3, Stoke City 1. Goals in this one. Kelsey Richardson putting Stoke in front in the 1st minute. But a brace for Danielle Whittam, 20th and 47th minute. Amy Woodruff in the 63rd minute. made it 3-1 to Leeds United. A great game between Liverpool Feds and West Bromwich Albion, but it's West Brom who progressed. Liverpool Feds lost Ellie Stewart to 25 minutes from time. So Liverpool Feds, both teams are missing a goal in this game. Let's see if I can find out where they are. Oh, own goal and own goal. So Liverpool Feds then getting this game 29th minute, Ellie Stewart getting their goal, plus then a West Brom own goal. 2 for Miriam Mahmood for West Brom, plus the Liverpool Feds own goal. Made it 3-2 for West Brom. They progress into the next round. London City Lionesses 1, Portsmouth 0. So don't get the information on that one because London City Lionesses are in the Championship. That's Peterborough United 0, Durham 1. Again, same situation there. And Sheffield United 3, Nottingham Forest 0. Same situation there. Apologies, I know without the green screen it cuts off some of the teams. So I apologise for that. So Burnley 1, Norwich City 0. Burnley haven't yet announced their lineup, but they're through into the 4th round. Crystal Palace 5, Watford 1. Jade Bradley with Watford's goal in the 60th minute. But Crystal Palace comfortable winners in that one. And Lewis 5, London Bees 0 is another one that's not on the full-time system. Full-time, it appears, is having a bit of a glitchy afternoon, but we will try our best and carry on as best we can. Now then, let's have a look at the FAWNL Cups, because we had those second round games. So now we know what the quarterfinals are because we had these second round games. Plymouth Argyle beating Cardiff City by 2-1. Goals in this one, a penalty to... so Cardiff took the lead in this one, 54th minute, Emily Poole. Then a minute later, Zoe Cunningham equalises for Plymouth from the penalty spot. And then another goal to Lily Greenslade in the 67th minute give Plymouth a 2-1 victory over Cardiff City. Plymouth, of course, in Tier 3, though. So Cardiff still on for a 100% record. They can now focus on the league and try and make sure they get themselves back into Tier 3 at the first attempt. FAWNL Plate, rather. Just the one game in this one, again, gets us up to the quarter-final stage. Southampton Women's 5, Swindon Town 2, a 3-0 lead at half-time here. But no times on the Southampton goal, so I'll just go through them. Lauren Cheshire, Brittany Gilles with a brace, Emma J. May with 1, and Katie Kingshot also with 1. Swindon Town's goals, Annabelle Colston, 54th minute, and Megan Attenborough in the 70th minute. Let's finish off this week's show then with a look at the fixtures coming up over the next 7 days. Now, it's a County Cup weekend this weekend, so a lot of games aren't taking place. We'll start in the Northern Premier Division, though. Nottingham Forest against AFC Fylde, away at Fylde. Sorry, I thought I got that confused earlier on. So Fylde currently in 6th, Forest in 2nd. A victory for Forest means that they would go top of the table because of their superior goal difference. So a lot for Andy Cook's side to play for. Loughborough Lightning against Derby County. Derby in 5th. Loughborough Lightning down at the bottom of the table at the moment. They are 7 points away from safety. They've played half of their games. They really need to pick up some wins, but they haven't got a single one yet so far this season. So Derby will fancy themselves to get another 3 points in this one. With Huddersfield not playing, Derby will put themselves up into 4th with a win. Southern Premier Division, just one game. Portsmouth against Ipswich Town. It's 3rd against 4th. Winner goes 2nd. Could be a very, very close one. Division 1 North, also just one game. Chorley against Hull City. Chorley in 10th. They're currently 4 points clear of the relegation zone. This is one of their games in hand over Merseyrail, actually. So a victory for Chorley see them go up into 8th spot and have a 7-point gap over the bottom 2. Hull City, they can only climb one place up to 6th with a victory. It will mean they've played 2 games more than Leeds United, though. So that one could be an interesting one to call. 7th against 10th at the moment. Only 3 points separating the two sides. This is their halfway game of the season. Another thing that I found interesting It's filling that board out, is by the time we get to the end of February, some teams have only got 5 games left to play between the end of February and the end of the season at the end of April. Some teams have got 10 games left to play. That's across the entire, not in particular leagues, that's across the entire FAWNL. So there's a great disparity between the teams that have played a lot of games and the teams that haven't played as many. So some teams will have a very, very busy March and April. Let's have a look at Division 1 Midlands, because there's only one game to talk about in that as well. Long Eaton United against Solihull Moors. Now, Long Eaton United are down in 12th. They've only won 1 game all season. They're 6 points away from safety. Solihull Moors are in 6th. Now, they could lift themselves up to 4th with a victory. Now, Solihull Moors have only played 7 games so far this season. They're one of these teams that are going to have a very busy second half of the year. Long Eaton United said could really do with another victory, but Solihull Moors could get themselves up a couple of places with a win. This is one of their games in hand as well. I mean, just to put it into perspective, and you saw from the table earlier, Solihull Moors currently have 5 games in hand over Leafield Athletic, who are just 1 place and 2 points above them in the league. They have 3 games in hand over Stourbridge at the top of the table. Now, if they were to win all those games in hand, that only puts them 4 points behind Stourbridge. So even though Stourbridge are currently 8 points clear at the top of the table, when you take into the account the likes of Doncaster Rovers, who have got 2 in hand on them, and Solihull Moors, who have got 3 in hand on them, Stourbridge aren't as runaway clear at the top of the Division 1 Midlands as you might think, despite the fact they've only dropped 3 points all season. It's very, very tight in Division 1 Midlands, if, of course, all those games in hand go those sides' way. Points on the board, much better than games in hand. There are no games in Division 1 South East this weekend, so we're going to go straight to Division 1 South West. Cardiff City against Moneyfields. It's 1st against 5th. This is Cardiff's game in hand over Exeter. They've got the opportunity to get themselves clear, 5 points clear at the top of the table yet again. Swindon Town against AFC St Austell is the other game. Swindon in 7th. They could get themselves up as high as 4th with a victory. AFC St Austell, now a victory for them would only leave them in the relegation zone on goal difference. So they do have 1 win this season. So just get a couple more for AFC St Austell. They might find themselves just on the right side of that relegation line come the end of the season. And that will do it for this week's Women's Football Chat. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. Again, your opinions are very welcome about this show. If you like the new camera positions, you feel like I'm talking more to you rather than having to keep looking to the side. Do you like the green screen, or do you like seeing the board? Although I know obviously you can't read the board, so I suspect the green screen will win out on that one. I believe the plan is to get the bookcase next Wednesday, so if I can then build it quickly enough, then we might be able to get the green screen back for next week, but you might have to have the board for 1 more week. As always, keep supporting your local women's football team, but do check before you travel to their games, because particularly today I've been out and about today and it is very boggy underfoot, particularly on the grass. We could find some waterlogged pitches depending on what the weather's meant to do over the next few days. And when I checked the forecast yesterday, it's meant to go back to freezing, particularly in this area in the East Midlands, over the course of the next few days. So do check before you travel with your team. As always, if you want to get involved with the show, you can contact me on Twitter at Chris_Gadsby. My DMs are open. Thank you very much for watching and or listening to the Women's Football Chat, and goodbye.